Hello, hello. Hello
Hello.
to everyone out there. I'm here with Kathy Nava, who was the captain for Mark Hamill's week, and Cheryl, who was a helper and participant in his week of the WikiTree Challenge.
I was going to say, is
Hello.
anyone even here?
I know a few
Oh,
people.
there's
Hello,
John.
thank you, John, because I was starting to think nobody showed up for us. There were a lot of WikiTreeers in there at 10 o'clock. So, hi, Christine. Glad you made it.
Hi,
And
y'all.
we haven't even really gone over who's going to do what. I want to go over the top 5 of the survey, though. And I think Cheryl's going to do a couple of stats. And then Kathy's still got all kinds of stuff to pick from. So Cheryl says, no, I'm not.
I can't bring them up. I'm having
Oh, well, maybe
technical
Kathy will.
difficulties.
If not, I will. We're disorganized, is what we're telling you, but we're having fun being disorganized
Discombobulated.
and relaxed. Yeah, we're having fun being relaxed, just like we had a lot of fun with the week discovering Mark Hamill's ancestors. And I tell you what, everybody had so much fun with the research that we didn't have the usual amount of Star Wars memes that we should have had, or voices of the Joker. There were a few jokes in there, but people really were really involved with the research, and it was fun to watch everybody collaborating. So, Kathy, how do you think the week went?
I think we did awesome. I think we had the highest number of participants on the score sheet that at least I've seen while participating in these. The number of edits was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I felt honored that you asked me to be captain just because I'm a huge, Star Wars fan. I don't have all the memorabilia and stuff. My youngest daughter has quite a bit though. I just love watching the movies and growing up on Star Wars. So, but I think we did an awesome job, and there were people. I had fun watching the top 10 change a little bit, and then it seemed to be the top 5 kept changing for a while until Martha just ran with it and blew everyone else away there at the
Oh,
end.
I know. Marta did so much incredible work this week, but so did a lot of other people. And I think we did for points. We only had 2 weeks that beat out this week for the whole year, and that would be Elon Musk's week, and then Oliver Wakeman. Of course, he has a huge fan base too. Of WikiTreeers and other researchers. So, but as far as edits, I think that I can look, but I think nope, it's in the third. Let me look again. What was our total edits for this week? I don't have that showing. Um, no, 5720 edits. So yeah, that was the highest amount of edits that we've done all year long. Crazy, crazy amount. And so many people involved there too. Oh, Tommy, you can't miss us. You're supposed to like have your alarm set for it. So Cheryl, how did you think the week went?
I thought it went great. It was a very interesting week to be participating in. Was my first week that I experienced being cut. My branch was cut off, and there would have been a lot more edits if it hadn't been.
Yeah, and I was hoping you would want to share with people a little bit that didn't participate, and so they don't know why that happened. I mean, how does that happen where you have a bunch of points and all of a sudden you get up and they're gone?
Oh, wow. I was up in 13th place, and I was really excited because usually I spend my time doing biographies because I love doing biographies. So I'm kind of a background person, and I let the other people do sourcing, although I love sourcing profiles. But during the challenges, I let the other people do the sourcing, and I like to go in there and clean up the profiles. But this week, I actually got in there and I was sourcing the profiles and was in 13th place. And I woke up in the morning and I saw I had 0 points. And I thought, what the heck is going on? So I told Mindy, I said, Mindy, I went from 13th place to 0. And we started looking, and all of a sudden we found there was a wrong father, I think it was, in the tree, and somebody found the actual correct father, and because of that, my branch got cut, and all the work that I had done is out there
Right.
somewhere floating in WikiTree land.
And, it's important to say that all of Cheryl's research was really sound. It's not that there was anything wrong with her research. It's that, sometimes we get to looking and we add somebody, and we say, oh, Elizabeth is the daughter of Mark. And then we add her spouse and her kids, her speculative parents. And once we start all looking at it and we find out that, oh, wait a minute, this daughter to this father, his daughter married somebody completely different, then we have to detach those. But Cheryl just happened to have had somebody else's work detached right below her. So all of her branches went away, not just like part of her branches, all the branches she worked on went away. And it's still really great though, because like she said, it's floating out there around the tree, little floating leaves. And somebody's going to come along one day looking for that particular Elizabeth and get really excited because it already has several generations attached and they're all fully sourced, and it's great. And, adding those speculative ancestors is so important because we need places to put the research notes. And, we need to have the profile where you can go, hey, can somebody else come in and take a look at this? I'm not sure. And they can come in and look at the sources and look at the relationship and then determine if it's correct or, if it isn't.
What's so interesting about that, I found, is that everything matched. The father matched, the city matched, the mother matched, everything matched. And for these people that are so great at doing the research and actually finding a correct father, when everything put together like a finite puzzle that I thought was right, and somebody ahead of me who had worked ahead of me found that that was wrong. And there were two people in the same city, and everything that did work. That's amazing. To me, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So congratulations to whoever ruined my week.
You did a fabulous job. Yay. And we did have a lot of those common names though, and of course you're going to have that in anybody's branches. And you start looking at it and you're like, oh, wait a minute. All of a sudden you're like, I don't think she married this guy. So yeah. And we wind up we get the chainsaw out is what we say. So a lot of chatter goes around in Discord. Yeah, Stephen says, good job, and all was not lost. So yeah, Cheryl lost her points. It does take them away when we have to detach people, but it was for a worthy cause. It allowed us to fully research and make sure we get it, accurate. That's what we want. We want everything to be accurate. And once again, she's going to make some future WikiTreeer really, really happy when they stumble on those branches that she built up, because those are all correctly attached.
So in the future, if it happens to you, don't get upset about it. Just smile and know that eventually all of that hard work is going to make somebody very, very happy.
Yes.
And Don, I know I don't. Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, Don said he connected his Swedish ancestors.
And we did have just some really amazing growth in those Swedish lines. It was just incredible how far they went back on there. Really fun to watch. And, I know Marta, I know Donald, there were a few people working on those lines. And when you look at I was going to show this anyways. let me full screen this. When you look at the branches of, why does it not tell me screen share? Maybe I won't be able to. When you look at the branches that have expanded, those Sweden lines are just solid. I mean, it takes up like 1/4 of Mark's trees, and really, really solid. And so there was just a lot of great work done on those. Why is it not going to let me screen share? So why don't you go ahead? Who was your favorite profile of the week this week?
The one that got disconnected.
Besides the one that got disconnected.
Who was it? So now I gotta.
The guy that was in jail and left the message saying not to connect or contact him for 2 years. But
yeah,
I don't know
thought that
was.
Yeah, I thought that was really awesome too. And I kind of wondered about it though, because you're kind of wondering, is the guy really just being honest and saying, I'm just going to put it out there, don't go to my house, I won't be there for 2 years while I'm in jail? Or was he kind of wondering, if I tell people this, I wonder how many will come visit me while I'm in there without me having to ask? I puts it out to all his friends. They're going to be like, oh no, I need to go talk to him and see what's going on. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick. And this at the end of the week. And so you can see that, a lot of his ancestors were filled in, but that purplish section you see here is his Sweden part. And it just a huge, massive line, and it goes way back. It goes way back there. So really, really great job on those. Speculative ancestors. Somebody has a Civil War pension file with a common name. Oh, and no connection yet. And I love those pension files because sometimes they have so much information in them. Kathy, who was your favorite? Oh, yours was the guy with the thing, huh?
The one that I found, that his paternal great grandmother's first cousin, John Haggart, had operated a grocery store for 30 years, while his wife, Rose Stolberg, was the postmaster for 30 years in Marblehead, Illinois. I just, a female that was a postmaster for 30 years. I mean, was there no one else to do the job, or
was it just that his house was really set up for it already? So they went, well, go ahead. I mean, yeah, they didn't give women important roles like that back then.
Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting just to have a female postmaster, back then.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick. The 7-degree chart, and that would be all of the people that were put on his branches, which is incredible. And there's 1,541 connections. There's a few that don't show up on here because we do want to protect the privacy of any recent ancestors. John says, reminds me of a postman, Patriot, maybe, the children's TV series The Postmistress Was a Woman. Oh, Christina had a great grandmother that was a postmaster. See, you're all going to make a liar out of me. They're like, oh, no, there were tons, Mitty. You just don't have it in your family.
That's right.
Okay, and this one here, this is Ford Christopher Frick. And, he was an American sports writer and baseball executive, which was really cool. And he married in Colorado. So this was part of the U.S. ones. And his claim to fame was he was the public relations director of baseball's National League in 1934 and then the National League president. So he also was instrumental in founding the Baseball Hall of Fame in the late 1930s, which eased tensions during the racial integration in the major leagues. And I mean, really, these are, do you think he likes sports, you guys? I'd say he was really into sports there. And then another one that was found quite interesting was Hiram Hall. And he was on to several things. But yeah, he was the one that said the friends and cousins, please don't visit me for 2 years because I'm in prison. And I don't know, Kathy, did you figure out what he was in jail for? Because I didn't have a chance to follow up on that.
No, I didn't follow up. I should have, but I didn't.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting though too. And then the other interesting fact about him was that he wrote about his War of 1812 service, and it survives in his pension file. His daughter Martha had written a letter in that file, and she said, "Father was called the handsomest man that walked the streets of Old Bennington." So, and there's a couple of them in this family lines that have that claim to being handsome. So I thought that was very interesting. And he was a harness maker. So even his occupation was unique. And then we have Dr. Omar Burton Pancoast. In his obituary, it said he was a professor of surgery at Johns Hopkins. And he was the one that invented an operating trunk for when operating rooms were unavailable. So, he made this portable supplies, this trunk of portable supplies, so that they could do the surgery wherever they had room or where the patient was. And then for poor Miss Anne Mary Ross, you can see on the right exactly what she was known for. And we're not really sure why she was unplugging the heater while she was in the bathtub. But, nowadays they all come with warnings for stuff like that. Like, please do not use your blow dryer in the shower. I mean, they have warning notices for everything. But this unfortunate woman did not know, and she did electrocute herself. And so, those warnings are for a reason. And sometimes, that's the only reason that we really hear more about them, is if something really tragic like that happens. And then we have Hakan Larsson Wright, and he was born in Sweden, and he was the oldest one on the Sweden line. It actually was when Sweden was still Denmark for that area, and he was born in 1475. So where we were showing you those purple lines, that whole section of his tree, some of those lines go back to the pre-1500 era, which to me is just incredible. And then the last one I'm going to do is Måns Nielsen, and he was the 5th great grandfather of Mark, and also his 6th great grandfather was Olaf Johnson. And I can't say the word, but it comes from the Swedish rustar, meaning to arm or equip. And what they did is, this was, a wealthy farm owner or landowner. And instead of paying taxes to the crown, they supported a cavalry soldier. So they supported the soldier and, the horse that he needed to ride on. And they figured that was equal to what, it would be if he were paying taxes. So those were just a lot of fun.
John said the Pat was short for Patrick Clifton.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't quite sure what the abbreviation on that was. And then we have Donald here who says, I like the guy named Johnson who changed his name to Conrad because there were too many Johnsons in his town. And we kind of had a good laugh when we did our wrap up in Zoom for that, because the Marta we've been talking about so much, her surname is Johnson. And so, yeah, that is a very, very common one. So did we have any questions from the audience?
No personal questions, please.
Oh, come on, Cheryl.
Nope, not answering them today.
Kathy, do you have the score page where you can tell us who the top people were?
Yeah, you want the top 5?
Sure.
Okay. In 5th, I'm going to start at 5 and work up, and you'll see what the big difference is.
Drum roll.
Donna Bowman had 130 points. Dawn Lindgren, who's here, had 133. Homer, 163. Then Aaron Breen, 222. And then Martha Johnson, 314. And number 1. So,
yeah,
huge points for that.
And we did have a tie for top bounty, though, and that would be Donna Bowman, who is one of our other challenge captains, and then Homer Thiel, who is incredibly good at finding these newspaper articles. Mm-hmm. And so we had 2 that tied for top bounty hunter.
Yes.
Kathy was in the top, what? Kathy, you were in top what? 13, 10?
11.
I was top 10 for a while, and then at the end there,
did you get axed too?
No, I ended up in 11.
Yeah, Karen, she's less than 10 points behind Karen Lowe, so Karen Lowe got busy and.
Yeah, I was minus 13 this week.
I was my usual. I was 0. Let's see, how many edits did I have, though? I had 65 edits, so yay for me.
Way to go, Mindy. But with everything you're doing during the week, I'm surprised you're even in there.
I know. I sneak in once in a while and fix something.
The commander-in-chief is number 46, the last place on the score sheet with 1 edit.
But every edit counts, you know.
But every edit counts.
Just like when we do our thons, you know, every profile that we can get out there that is good, you know, we do want to see sources on them. But every profile we get added that is sourced is, you know, better for the tree. So even if you only have time during the week to spend, you know, say an hour all week long, then even that hour is appreciated.
Yes. And someone had just mentioned in Discord that they didn't sign up for the week, yet they were still showing up on the score sheet. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you're on the score sheet.
Yeah, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit in our Zoom chats, and we do 2 Zoom chats if you don't know. We do one at the start of each week. And there's actually 2 that day. There's one at noon on Eastern, and then I do one at 8 p.m. on Eastern. And then we do one at the end of the week too for a wrap up, so we can kind of talk to each other. But you know, the reason that some people show up anyways is because we changed it a little bit this year with registration. So if you've signed up for any prior week this year and you go out and participate without registering, you'll still be on the score sheet. The difference is you probably won't get the emails because we make the email list up out of the people that have registered. So, you know, those people are getting a daily update on, you know, what's going on, or like when the brick wall bounty ancestors come out, you know, those are sent out to the people on the email list, and you miss out on those things if you don't register, but you can still participate and you will still show up on the score sheet if you've participated before this.
Yes.
We had a lot of participants this week.
We did.
I know it was starting to look like we were going to hit the 50 mark. We got to 46. We just needed 4 more people to come in there and pop in.
Make
and
one edit. If 4 people made one edit and showed up on the score sheet, we would have hit 50.
So we should make that a challenge for the upcoming week. We are going to have Roger Federer, and, you know, of course, famous for tennis. And if you have participated at all this year, once the week starts on Thursday at noon Eastern time, then, you know, go in there and let's see how many people we can get on the score sheet. See if we can top this week.
Postman Pat had a black and white cat. That the
I'm not sure
same one you remember, John? I'm used to John replying to me face to face.
I know. I will say real quick that Kevin Bacon's week. Oh, Cheryl, you were captain that week. Was our highest participation week, and that was 80 people, which is crazy. We have some awesome captains here. We really do. Awesome.
Was Kevin the first one that we went over to just doing the working on the tree without being a live guest?
No. Elon Musk was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Elon Musk was the week before him, and he was our first non-live, you know, a focus. We featured him instead of him being an actual guest. But Kevin was the first week that we started going out to the 7th degree, because before that we were only doing direct line ancestors, and so there weren't as many possible points available. And now we can either do the direct line or you can work sideways out to the 7th degree. So it gives us a lot of profiles that we can create.
And I promised I'd dance to cut loose if we got that many.
Oh, Kathy, we have witnesses.
Yes, we have witnesses.
You got to promise stuff, Kathy.
Oh, I'm boring.
She says, I don't know. I don't have anything I can promise. Well, if you haven't looked in the highlights in the G2G yet, of course, you'll see that wonderful fan chart that we have that shows his lines, but it also shows you how far some of these went back. Now, you know, we talked a lot about the Swedish profiles, but the England lines were really worked on as well. It's just that they weren't as full when we got done as the Swedish lines, but those actually, some of them reached really far back also to pre-1500s. And the oldest one we have in the English line was Raoul Adolphius Lefcoats, and he was born about 1030.
Wow.
So, and that would be 1030. That does not mean 10:30 in the morning. He was way back there. The Swedish lines, of course, we talked about, it was when it was still considered Denmark back to 1475. We had some of them Swedish lines on his mother's side that went back as far as 1663 or earlier. Also on his mother, we had just a small, just a smidgen of Canadian and Holy Roman Empire, which is now Canada. And we had some ancestors that were part of the Swiss lines. So altogether, people added 1,255 family members. Once again, just crazy, incredible numbers. But John says, sorry, he would have answered quicker, but his mom needed help. We had a crazy amount of profiles added. It was just really fun to watch all the collaboration, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Including the removals. Sorry, Cheryl. Everybody collaborated nicely.
It's always fun to watch Discord and how everybody works together.
Yeah, and you definitely don't have to be part of the challenge to hop in there. You just have to be in the WikiTree server. So, anybody can stop in and go, great job, everyone, or just, hi, how's it going? Or just even peek in there and read and kind of see what people are talking about. I can tell you these challenges are pretty addictive once you start doing them, right, ladies?
Right.
Yeah, it's really hard to stop.
Definitely is. Once you start working on it, and you learn a lot too, I think,
Yes, you
from
do.
doing the challenges, especially in other areas.
It's
But I have
addictive.
noticed, like when we have English ancestors and we get some members from the England project going, Discord is running practically 24/7 in the guest challenge. And when we don't have English profiles, it kind of gets a little quiet there for a few hours.
Yeah, it kind of really depends on what countries we're working on because, some of those are busier than others as far as, not that people aren't working on the profiles for other countries, but not everybody is a chatty person in Discord. And, when we get going with a country that they like to get in there and chat with us, then it's really a lot of fun. Steven says he just wishes he had a bigger screen to work on. You would like my setup, Stephen. He does those well transcriptions. And so he probably wants to really be able to zoom in and make those big. And I'll tell you what, when I do my Portuguese ones, it's awesome because I can put one of my screens for just that, the register, and then a different screen for my transcription or translation of it. So it really helps out a lot.
Yes, having two
Multiple.
screens is wonderful. But Mindy has 3.
I have 3 and I have room to put my laptop, which I used to keep my laptop up to, but I kind of like having that as my coffee space, coffee and snacks. So, and I don't really need 4 at a time since I can split screens with these big ones. But yeah, I like having all the different screens.
I want to say Connie Knox from Genealogy TV has 4 screens. She has like 2 kind of in the front and 2 up a little higher. I'm like, whoa. I don't know if I could work with 4.
You guys are
There were
spoiled.
several people that took there were several people though that took Sourceathon pictures last year that had multiple monitors set up. And I did put some of those in the intro for this year's Sourceathon, so remember, if you're participating in this kind of stuff, take a picture of what your setup is or have somebody take a picture of you with your setup. And, maybe in one of the future intros, your picture will wind up in there. It's fun to see what everybody works on. And, for those of you that work off of just a smartphone, I mean, my hat's off to you because I couldn't do it. I need to have my mouse and I want my, big screens.
That's a good idea, Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I need to do that. All I have is my laptop at home. And then when I go to the Family History Center, I have 2 monitors. So I'm a little spoiled there.
Yeah, that makes it nicer. Well, it makes it nicer for the rest of us, though, too, Kathy, because you find a lot of records for us. So we appreciate it.
We sure do, Kathy.
I try and I enjoy it. So
I wish I had one close to me.
Yeah, I'm like, why try to get the library be an affiliate when the Family History Center is closer to me than the library? So
Yeah. Yeah, for us, I don't have a really close one. The closest library to me is not an affiliate. Actually, the first few closest libraries none of them are affiliates. And so I have to go into a larger town to use a affiliate library. And it's kind of a pain to get into. And I know, some people say just hook your computer up and then it'll stay online for a couple hours and drive home. But that's a lot of driving just to get online with them.
Yeah.
Stephen says, always fun to find records and documents to read them without transcriptions.
I don't think Stephen liked the one will that I gave him that was Old English.
I was sad that was it Anne that found that pension file, that really, really big pension file. I was sad that wasn't found before the weekend because that would have made an awesome space page. And it was like 81 pages or 61 pages, something like that. It was incredibly big. And those are just so much fun to find. And, especially if you wind up getting the different letters from the family members and whatnot, then, it's fun to go and flesh that person's history out. How is my Wi-Fi? They have not fixed my internet yet, John. This is the hotspot on my phone, which is through a different company, and so it's working rather well. The one that I'm supposed to be using is not that great yet, so I'm hoping they'll get a fix put in for that.
Now, is Stephen's response to John?
I don't know. Stephen, what are you referencing? We're waiting to see. Stephen's not going to answer. He's like, I'm not explaining if you didn't get the joke.
Right. I was thinking John is kind of walking a tight wire with that question there.
Yeah. He says, yeah, you have all the monitors, but can you use your internet, Mindy? No. So it doesn't help you.
Oh, Kathy. What did Kathy say?
The will.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I had a will that needed some transcription, and he did a great job on what?
Stephen's the best when it comes to transcriptions. Can't beat him.
And we did get sidetracked the other day talking a little bit about the extension. And, I know that was pointed out to me that doesn't exactly have anything to do with the challenge. But actually, it really does in my mind, because there are so many of us right now that use the various, browser extensions to help us get these profiles done. And, take some of the tedious work out for us so that we can do the fun part where we just, untangle the family lines, or, we get to add people and find new people. And the tedious stuff is really just click, and it's done. So once they get all of these, if you don't know, we're in the middle of Hacktoberfest month, where the coders all get together and collaborate on one big project. And so what they're doing is they're taking all of those fun extensions that we have now. We're so spoiled on WikiTree for our tools and toys that we have. They're taking all of those and rolling almost all of them into one big extension. So you'll just have one extension that updates every month. It'll be, some of them will be easier to find because they were around already, but people didn't necessarily know about them. And Stephen's pointing out, like the auto bio button, there's a lot of people that do that now to add a stub bio. So, if you haven't seen yet what they're doing with this big extension, then you can look in our G2G forum, or, you can get in on the Thursday live cast that we do for it, where, we talk about what the changes are this week. And then, I'm sure there will be some new instructions and new tutorials out for people. I think a lot of buying will have to be redone now because they're all set for the extensions how they are now. And, now they're all being rolled into this bigger one. But it really does help us. Like I said, we get to do the fun part and focus on the fun part of doing this challenge. So Kathy and Cheryl, both of you, you guys have been doing this for a long time with me now, not necessarily as captains, but as researchers during the WikiTree challenge. What do you like the most about the challenge, your challenge experience?
for me, it's the learning of the different countries and, how they have their records. And how to research, and the collaboration in Discord. If you're not sure about something, you just put it in there. Hey, I need a second set of eyes on this. What do you think of this? And people are there to help you.
Yeah, and usually just really, really friendly and nice about it. So, Cheryl, what would be your favorite part?
I think my favorite part is in Discord, where if you ask questions in the G2G, you might get an answer, but the answer isn't as clear as it is when you ask a question in Discord. In Discord, when you ask a question, you have the opportunity to immediately say, I really don't understand that. Can you be more specific? And so I have learned more during these challenges than I have anywhere else on WikiTree. More about sourcing, how to set up my profiles, how to collaborate, using the auto bio, all those little extra things that you just don't find anywhere else on WikiTree. I guess you could find them, but you have to really search. But on Discord, people will tell you, have you used the auto bio? Or each challenge is different because you give us a set of records where we can find like the different German links, different Dutch links, things that are really very helpful. And I think those are for me, the most important things that I've learned and the most helpful to make me a better sourcer and a WikiTreeer.
Yeah. And all good points, and for that, for like the live conversation that you're talking about, and it's not voice chat, it's text chat where you're typing. But, if you go out and you post in our forum, we have a ton of helpful people that are always looking at the forum to answer questions. But it's exactly that. It's a forum. So, if it's late at night and you get out on the forum and go, hey, I need somebody to look at this record, and I think it's for this person. What do you think? It may not be till the next day. And then you get a comment, instead of like what you're talking about, where you can go into Discord, there's almost always somebody in there and you can have an actual conversation back and forth, or they may want to ask questions really before they can give you a good answer, and then also where you were saying about the sources. And I love that part too, where we're always learning from each other. I learn new stuff that can be done on WikiTree or that can be done in genealogy research all the time. And I love having somebody pop in and go, oh, have you tried looking at this set of records? And you're like, I've never even heard of that set of records. No, let me bookmark that. And then I'll go check it out. We all learn from each other.
And I think the other thing that is really very cool about working in Discord is the fact that while I might have a subscription to a certain, like Ancestry or something, somebody else might have a subscription to newspaper.com. Somebody else has a subscription to another source. And when you get everybody together, if you don't have a source to go to, somebody else does, and they're so willing, all you have to do is go in there and say, hey, I'm looking for an obituary for so-and-so. Man, they jump on it and they've got it for you. And then you have Stephen, who's so great at transcribing wills. All you got to do is say, Stephen, I need this will transcribed. Everybody is good at something, and they're all willing to work with you. And you don't find that, I don't care what site you go to, you don't find that anywhere but on WikiTree.
Yeah, we are definitely, we're all about collaboration and just everything we do. It's a free site and we all work together. I know there are some people that prefer to stay off on their own and be a little bit quieter. But they're always going to have some interactions with somebody. And really, to me, the more I interact with people on WikiTree, I think the better my research is, because it's more informed, and the more resources are used, and it's just an all in all better experience for me anyways.
And in Discord, I'll say one more thing. You don't really have to be active in Discord to learn. You can go to Discord and see questions other people have asked and learn from what other people have asked on Discord, and learn just from that. And I have done that. And it's a blessing to people on WikiTree to have Discord. No matter if you're in a challenge or if you're in the England project, whatever project you're in, you need to
Appalachia.
use
And Kathy comes in and goes, "Quit posting, everyone. I now have 153 comments before I can say anything."
This
and
morning
then
I
five of
woke
us
up.
jump in and post something more.
This morning I woke up and I looked and I was scrolling in Appalachia, and I think it said over 300.
Oh my goodness.
During the time that I was asleep, because it counts like each post somebody does. So somebody comments and hits enter, and then they comment again and hits enter. Even though their post may be, this long on Discord, they could have typed 4, 5, 6 different sentences. And so that
yeah, and and not all projects are like that.
No.
That just happens to be a particularly busy one, and it's busy pretty much around the clock. And and then the other nice thing is you don't have to get notifications at all. Like what Kathy's talking about is you just wait till you get ready and you go in, and then you can see how many comments are there. Not everybody reads through them all when they get to the room, but if you're trying to make sure you are staying in touch with what everybody else is doing, and sometimes it's a lot to read when you first get in the morning. Get your coffee parked with you and start scrolling.
Is that because it's fairly new, Mindy, or
You mean the popularity or the chat?
The chat.
The sheer amount of comments. Part of the reason is because most of the projects we stay pretty much on. We try and stay on track with conversations. So, where we might make an occasional brief joke in Discord in the challenge room, the rest of it is all research. And it's really easy. There's just so many people with different backgrounds. And the Appalachia Project, one of the other things is it's a culture. It's not just a location. And so, people like to share their views or their background, their history with the different parts of the culture. And so we get into anything from, what type of gravy do you put on your biscuits, to who knows where to find this burial record in such and such Tennessee. There's just a lot that gets talked about, and it just happens to be people that are really sharing people. And I know we do have some project members that don't come into the chat, probably for that reason, or some of them just can't run Discord on their computers, but the ones that we do have are just very, very chatty.
Yeah, I have never lived in what's considered Appalachia. And so by me being in there and them talking about food and all this other stuff, I'm learning part of the culture. And I do have direct ancestors that were born in a county that qualifies as that. And so it's an insight for me into, my direct biological ancestors. So even being part of a project and learning stuff like that is helpful for me.
Yeah. And I think, when you are learning the background and the history and the culture of a set of people, of a family, it helps you bring that person to life better, because you better understand how they may have viewed the world around them. And, that's what we want to do, is we want to bring these people back to life and document them fully for future people. So, I think, do we have any last minute more questions? Because my wind's really starting to howl out there. So I don't want to lose my internet before we can close this out. Don't forget to, oh, Anne made it just as we're leaving. That's a bummer.
Hi, Anne.
Anne. Don't forget to like the video, upvote the video, and, as well as the highlights post and the G2G forum. And join us back here on Thursday when we start Roger Federer's week. And that should be interesting. Switzerland and South African records. And, so areas that we've visited in the past, we'll get another chance to work in those areas on records. And of course, the awesome WikiTree, awesome WikiTree collaboration. Anne says, seems my usual lately. Sigh. She is just one of the busiest people I've ever seen, and she works way too many hours.
Well,
We appreciate every little bit that, she can give us during the challenges. So, just like we were talking about before, if you can only show up for an hour one day, we even love that kind of help. So,
Yes.
So I guess we will wrap it up. Kathy, you did just such an amazing job of keeping everybody updated and interested and informed over the week and keeping your team motivated. So, everybody give a big hand to Kathy. She did an awesome job. And,
and I liked your daily messages, Kathy. Thank you.
I tried, and I know sometimes the challenges, some people may take it serious as a competition type thing. So I figured I'd kind of try and lighten it up a little bit. So
very nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Tommy's asking if Roger will be connected to the main tree before the start on Thursday. Is he not connected right now?
Roger's tree is how it will be when we start on Thursday. So he does have his first great grandparents on it. I believe there's one or two lines that it has been pointed out. Some of the lines that he will connect to are already on WikiTree. We don't want to work on those before the challenge week starts, of course. And we don't want to add to the greats before, before the challenge week starts. So I think a couple of lines we're going to wind up, we'll probably get them connected to the global tree pretty quickly. But, we just don't want to make those connections until we get the challenge week started. So I think, yep, we will wrap that up. And thank you all for coming and watching. Like the video. See you next week.